Now, one of the biggest questions many skincare founders ask is this: do I really need influencers to scale my skincare brand? And you don't even need to be in skincare brand to ask that question, especially if you're selling online. But honestly, that is actually a fair question to ask, because today it feels like every brand, especially every skincare brand, is using influencers or using creators. They are using beauty personalities, lifestyle pages, or product reviewers. All right, they are using these because they actually want to scale, they actually want to sell more. So naturally, many founders begin to think, maybe influencers are the missing piece in this my business, or maybe without them I might not be able to scale. All right, some founders spend a whole lot of money on influencers. They get visibility, they get engagement, sometimes they even get traffic right into their websites, but yet still struggle to scale revenue consistently. And now they get confused. So what is the truth? What is the way forward? Do influencers work, or are they overrated? But today, I'm going to give my honest perspective, and it is that influencers absolutely can help you scale a skincare brand, but influencers are not a complete growth systems. And you know what? That distinction actually matters. It matters because this is where many skincare founders misunderstand influencer marketing. And you absolutely don't have to be in skincare before you get this. Influencers are powerful. But what determines whether that influence becomes scalable revenue is usually the system behind it. Just like running your ad is very great, but the system around that ad is what will cause your business to actually scale. So in today's episode, I want to break down exactly what influencers actually do. I'll break down why some influencer campaigns disappoint, when influencers work best, and how scalable skincare brands use influence strategically. Because in reality, the goal is not simply getting attention. The real goal is turning that attention into sustainable growth. Let me get started like this. Influencers are not magicians and they are not useless either. So they serve specific marketing function. And the first thing influencers do is, number one, visibility, which is something your business absolutely needs. So influencers help brands get discovered faster. And as we've discussed in the past episodes, visibility actually matters, especially for new skincare brands, for unknown brands, for growing brands. You need that visibility the way humans need blood. Because people cannot buy what they rarely see. This is why brands globally still invest heavily in influence. Not because the influencers magically would create revenue, but because influence creates attention. The influence creates awareness, the influence creates discovery, and the influence creates exposure to your brand. And you know what? That matters significantly if you must scale. So the first thing that influencers do for your brand is giving your brand visibility. Now, the second thing that influencers do is actually trust transfer. They transfer their credibility, they trust people already have with them, they are transferring it automatically to your brand. And this is very powerful. Because when people trust an influencer, some of that trust is transferred to the products that the influencer is recommending. And that is one reason influencer marketing can work so well. So it is not enough that the influencing brings attention to your brand, but also that because that influencer has influence, not just popularity. There's a difference between having influence and just being famous. When that influencer has influence over his or her audience, when the audience already trusts that influencer and whatever he or she has to say, that trust is transferred to the product the influencer is recommending. Because subconsciously or consciously, customers will think, if this person uses it, maybe I should pay attention to it and buy the product also. So that is the second reason why influencers are powerful. The third thing influencers do is, of course, they give your brand social proof. And social proof is just the same thing as when strangers see others buying your products and using the products, they also would like to buy the same products. But now it is now scaled at the higher level because this person is not just another customer buying the product, this person is an influencer. So when people repeatedly see your product associated with creators, people that they know, and it's like all these people that are buying these brands products, suddenly the brand begins to feel more familiar. It feels like they know the brand also, even though they've not got product before. Why? Because the people they know are buying from that brand, and naturally, subconsciously, the brand becomes more accepted and more relevant. And you know what? Familiarity matters in skincare. So let me be clear. influencers can absolutely create value, and you absolutely want the kind of value that they will give your brand. So the problem is not whether influencers work. The real question a brand, especially a new brand, want to ask is what happens after the attention. How do you convert the attention into sales and scale your brand? And this is exactly where many campaigns break down. So before I continue with that, let me answer this second point, which is why do some influencers campaign seem to disappoint? And this is the part many skincare founders don't hear enough. A lot of influencer campaign create impressions, they create awareness, they create visibility, and they create engagement. But they still fail to create scalable revenue. Question is why? Because attention and conversion are not the same thing. I'm sure you must have been hearing this over and over and over on this podcast. If you have been watching the episode from episode 1, especially the last 7 episodes, I've always been repeating this. And this is a major truth in marketing. An influencer can create curiosity, but curiosity alone doesn't guarantee trust, especially if that influencer doesn't really have much influence on his audience. And of course, curiosity alone doesn't guarantee conversion. Curiosity alone doesn't guarantee retention, and curiosity alone doesn't guarantee repeat purchases. This is where disappointment often starts, because you are having a false expectation of what the influencer should do versus what the influencers can actually do. Because what your brand should do is to turn the attention into customers. But you just think magically the influencer's job is to bring attention, conversion, retention, repeat purchase. And of course, you're going to get ultimately disappointed, because that is not the job of the influencer. That is the job of the brand in creating the system around what the influencer does. But many skincare founders just expect that once the influencer posts, then there should be instant scale. But the reality is that the customer behaviors is usually more complex. Sometimes you've not even done the job in your own system such that there's no audience fit to your products. The people the influencer has influence over are not the market that actually needs your product or your services. Because of that, you're not going to get the result that you want. Sometimes the problem is your offer. Your offer is unclear. And sometimes it is a brand position. Can you see? These are the system behind the scene doing the work that actually convert the attention into customers. So if the brand positioning is weak, there's no difference between your brand and somebody else's brand. All right, the influencer can marketing for your product and they are buying somebody else's product whose brand positioning is very strong. Sometimes it's the funnel. The funnel is poor. So even if you get results, you'll be able to get much more results had you optimized the funnel. Sometimes it's the follow-up. The follow-up is missing. If it is missing, that means even though people wanted to buy, you could not follow up on them sufficiently enough to get them to buy and to get them to keep buying. And sometimes the conversion process is incomplete. Imagine getting to your checkout page, but they could not check out. So all of these are the system behind the scene that makes the job of the influencer actually seamless, that make it look like the influencer is giving you the big break, the influencer is the one scaling your brand. Meanwhile, the influencer is bringing the visibility, the attention, the trust, but the conversion system that you have set up behind the scene is turning that visibility and attention into actual customers and repeat customers. But if you don't do that, what will happen is that the founder will begin to blame the influencer. Meanwhile, the influencer may have actually done their job perfectly. They created the attention, but the system failed to convert the attention. And that, my friend, is a very important distinction. Because if you misunderstand this, you may conclude that maybe influencers don't actually work when the real issue was the infrastructure around the campaign. Hi, let me quickly say this. So if you are watching this and you already know that your skincare brand or any other brand that you're running right now should be doing more, but you are not sure about how to structure everything properly, well, that's exactly why we created the Digital Launchpad Accelerator. It is where we help brand owners like you turn attention into actual sales. It's where we help you build your clear growth system and scale more predictably. To get started and actually work with us, all you have to do is to go to pmi.ng/DLA or click the link in the description of this video and watch the video on that page to learn about how to work with us. Do that after you finished this episode. All right, go ahead and continue the episode. Now, before I go into the details of how to actually make your influencers campaign work profitably and scale your business with influencer marketing, let me share with you another truth that many founders actually overlook. And the truth is that influencers actually work for brand that already feels trustworthy. Why? Well, because influencers create curiosity, but trust closes resistance. It's not enough for you to just borrow the trust from the influencers. All right. Your brand also must show that it is worth purchasing from. And skincare customers are naturally cautious, right? People worry about the effectiveness of the products, they worry about the reactions of their skins, they worry about the authenticity of the products, they worry about wasted money and sometimes false promises. So when an influencer introduces your brand, the audience, in many cases or in some cases, still subconsciously ask, can I really trust this product? Even though their conscious mind trusts the influencer and they really want to buy the product, in reality, people make decisions based on their subconscious mind. And that is why your brand credibility matters so much. So that while they consciously want to make the decision, their subconscious actually allows them, that their emotions, their thoughts, their feelings about your brand actually allows them to make the decision to buy from you. And credibility comes from many things. We've shared it before in previous episodes. It comes from consistent content creation. And from that content creation, you must have authority positioning. So credibility comes from that. It comes from customer proof, social proof. It comes from educational marketing, testimonials, all right, and different way of presenting your products, different way of presentation. Is it via webinar? Is it just social media content? Different ways, all right. Repeated visibility. This is how you build credibility. This is how you build trust with your audience. And if the brand feels credible already, then and only then will the marketing done by the influencer actually produce the massive results that you want, all right. Because now the audience encounters curiosity and trust. Trust, not just the conscious trust they already had with the influencer, but now subconsciously they actually feel that your brand is credible and they feel safe buying from your brand. So that is why your brand must pursue positioning itself as an authority, because a brand with strong authority usually gets more value from influencer campaigns. And like I've mentioned many times about ads, influencer marketing also amplifies an already trustworthy perception about your brand. And this is one reason that we at PMI, we emphasize content, we emphasize authority, we always emphasize positioning systems in almost every one of the latest episodes of this podcast. I am emphasizing it because you actually need, alongside visibility, you need everything together, because your influencer marketing would perform better when your brand already feels believable. Alright, now if everything I've shared in this video is making sense to you, and right now you are realizing what is missing in your brand, then the next step is very simple. Number one, you can try to figure all of this out on your own and implement every lessons you've learned in this episode. Or number two, you can have us help you implement it properly. And that's what the Digital Launchpad Accelerator is for. Here's where we work with a limited number of brands to actually fix what is not converting in their marketing system, to help them build a proper growth system and to help them scale revenue within just 90 days. So if you are interested, there is a link below this video in the description, or on this video there is a link where you can watch the full training and apply to work with us. Just go to pmi.ng/DLA. Right, now let's wrap this up and finish the episode. So now that I've taken that out of the way, let's talk about what sustainable influencer marketing actually looks like. Because scalable brands rarely depend on one influencer post. All right, because that's usually not scalable. Instead, scalable brands build systems around influence. And the system, like I've mentioned in last episode and other episodes of this podcast, usually begins with number one, strong positioning. The brand must know who it is serving, what it stands for, and why is the brand different from every other brand in the industry. So this is how you position yourself via your content. Your content, your packaging, your offer, your marketing, everything must showcase who you are serving, what you stand for, and why you matter. Why should people hold you serious? Why are you different from every other brand? So that's number one. The second is influencer visibility. While the strong positioning would actually give your brand the credibility it deserves and it's actually needed to get people to believe in your products and actually buy your product when they come from the influencer marketing, your influencer marketing itself should now ensure that it brings visibility to your brand. And this is the moment where the influencer creates content and everything that brings exposure, awareness, and discovery. Another factor in this system is actually lead capture, and this is very important. The reality is that not everybody would buy immediately, even though they like the influencer, they've come to your page, they've come to your website. Not everybody is ready to buy, right? But the beauty is that you've generated traffic from social media to your page or to your website. Now, instead of wasting that attention, your brand must capture their interest and turn them into leads. At least if they cannot buy immediately, they should become your lead. So this is where your lead magnet is necessary. This is where you build your lead generation form. This is where you build your funnel, your lead generation page, thank you page, and everything. This is where you have your opt-in forms, because you actually want to turn the traffic into leads so that you'll be able to follow up on them. So lead generation is very valuable as part of the system that ensure your influencer marketing scale your brand profitably. And of course, part of this system is the email follow-up. It does not make sense to generate leads and then not follow up on them. So why did you generate this in the first place? You generated leads so that you can nurture them via email marketing, via WhatsApp marketing, via phone calls, anyhow, but you have to follow up on them. I would recommend email marketing. All right, so email follow-up is where you deepen the trust via nurturing your audience with email marketing. And like I said, purchasing skincare product is not purely impulsive. Many times need reassurance. Yeah, they trust the influencer and they're getting to trust the brand, but they still need reassurance. Sometimes they still need a reminder because they actually want to buy, but the money is not ready yet, so they needed to be reminded. Sometimes they even need education to be sure this product is actually what their body needs, all right, for treatments. And sometimes they just need confidence. They need their beliefs to be shifted from being skeptical to being permissive, maybe because of the influencer marketing. They now need their belief to shift to someone who's expecting to actually buy. And your email marketing, your email nurturing sequence would actually do that for you. And another part of the system that ensures your influencer marketing scale your brand profitably is retargeting. So you need to retarget people who have shown interest in wanting to buy your product, but they couldn't complete their purchase, or people who have converted into leads, but they still haven't bought, even though they've read your emails. You might want to retarget them with another ad. So this would keep your brand visible after the initial exposure. And the reality is that repeated exposure often improves conversions. So you need to build all of these parts of the system, the structure around your influencer marketing for you to see that influencer marketing actually works. Now, there are brands that really don't depend on influencers alone, all right? And that is a very important shift. The brand scaling fastest, they don't rely just on influencers alone. They combine influencers with their content, with their ads, with their emails. You cannot just rely just on influencer marketing. Just the same way you can't just rely on just content marketing. The same way you can't just rely on just ads without organic posting. All right, you want to combine each and every one of these with your email, your authority, the community. All right, with retention, retaining your present customers and ensuring that they come and buy from you again. With repeated visibility, all of this combined makes your brand actually scalable. You don't really want to depend just on influencers. That means you'll be depending on them. It will create risks because your growth would depend entirely on one creator. If it's just one influencer you're using, it would depend entirely on one platform upon the influencer. You don't want your brand to be at the mercy of someone, right? You don't want your growth to become fragile. So if you want your brand to be sustainable, you want to build multiple visibility engines, and that is smarter. All right, so your content, influencer, even influencer, more than one influencers, ads, everything, not just one platform, more platforms, so that your brand will be scalable. At least Google, Facebook, TikTok, all of them will not ban your brand account on their platform at the same time, unless you are President Trump. That was banned on most of the platform at the same time. So this is how larger brands operate. They use influence, but they do not depend on influence alone. And that distinction actually matters for scaling your brand. So I believe that you've learned a great deal in this episode. Question is, do you need influencers to scale your skincare brand? And the honest answer is sometimes yes, you need them, and sometimes no. If you already have a huge traffic, come to your website, come to your landing page, come to your Instagram page. Influencers can absolutely help you with visibility, awareness, trust transfer, with discovery, with demand acceleration. But influencers are not a complete growth systems on their own. And that is the part that many founders miss. They think the only missing piece they need is influencers, whereas they actually need to build the right marketing structure before the influencer comes in. So the real question is not, should I use influencers? The better question is, what system will convert the attention that the influencers create? Because as we've known by now, attention alone rarely guarantees scalable revenue. The brands that are scaling sustainably usually combine both the attention from the visibility with the positioning, with the trust, with the customer journey, nurturing, retention, everything in the strategic marketing system, the structure. And that is exactly what I break down inside our free training, which is the Skincare 3X revenue growth system. Inside the training, I show you exactly how skincare brands scale strategically. I show you how visibility becomes revenue. I show you how customer journeys improve conversion and how to build growth systems that sustains momentum. Because the goal is not to simply be noticed. The real goal is actually to turn visibility into predictable and scalable revenue. So, my friend, if you are serious about growing your skincare brand, then you need to click the link below this video, anywhere around this video, or in this description below this video, and watch the free training right now. I believe that you've enjoyed this episode and you've learned a great deal about influencer marketing in this episode. If you've gotten 1 or 2 lessons, I'd like you to comment in the comment section what you learned. Like this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't subscribed, and share the episode with your other friends and business colleagues. See you next week for the next episode.